Okay, folks, what we have here is a Warren Webster 0026T floating thermostatic trap. It's of the later design because it has the cap on top, which gave you reasonably good access to the thermostatic element of the which usually fails sooner than the float part. We'll get to the float part in other videos, but today we're going to concentrate on getting this cap off here. This trap, which is 1 inch, and you can see came out of the First Lutheran Church in Albany, New York, and was sent to me to be taken apart and to make this the video on how it is taken apart. So generally the most efficacious way of doing this is probably impact, and we have a couple of issues with doing impact. And the best thing to do is to get the tightest fit on this hex. Now, normally when you throw a measurement on there, you're probably going to come up with something close to 1 3/16 inches. And that will kind of work, although that's pretty wobbly. And if this thing is really tight on there, this will tend to round off. The reason being why it's so loose is that 1 3/16 is really 30 millimeters. They just basically scrub off the 30 millimeters and then they call it 1 3/16 and hope we won't notice, because there's 30 millimeters, and as you can see, that's pretty loose. Now that might be good enough, but you want to really be sure, because I'm only going to get one shot at this. I'm going to go with a 29 millimeter, and you can see that that doesn't go all the way down onto the cap, and somebody at some point hit it with a wrench and probably boogered it. So what I sometimes do is I take a file and knock off some of the burr there. Be careful doing this. You don't want to, as I say, you got one shot at this. Once this goes, like that, get all 6 sides. And find out what happens here. So if you knock it down, you might want to work on that a little bit. We'll see. Get the 29 millimeter, and then, whoops, we're gonna hammer it down onto there. And the disadvantage is now that's going to be really difficult to get off, but we know that's gripped on there and that's not going anywhere. Maybe make sure that it's even all around. And so now we're going to see if we can get that off. Got my ears, I'm going to put them on because this can get pretty loud. And we'll see if that comes off. Here we go. Mind your ears, folks. All right. Well, that was very good. Now, take my ears off. So this is a typical element from the Warren Webster period. If we're lucky, we can scrape off or wipe off the rust and we might see a date code on there, and I'm not seeing one. Usually it would be right there, and I can't see it at this point. Maybe I have to look a little closer. But so you might be able to take a screwdriver and pry that off. But that was a success. And then here is the seat, which I believe is 1 inch, and you usually have to take a impact socket and grind off this bevel here, because that's very shallow. And you want something that fits right over that to grab that, and that's going to be probably for another video. We might be able to get lucky and screw that back on and maybe tap, tap, tap. Hopefully not knock over the camera. Yes, it's going to be a bit of a struggle getting this off. Well, that'll have to be for another time, but I have to pry that off. I'm going to have to work on that. So the next step is going to be to get the proper socket to get this this out of here, and then we're going to have to really peruse the Barnes & Jones kit to see exactly what's going to fit in there. They've got a couple of versions that that are going to fit, and I have to see which one is correct. So the next step is going to be making sure that these come off, and what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to just basically heat this and make sure to increase my odds that one of these bolts don't break. Because if they do, that's gonna be pretty much the end of the show for that. So signing off for now, and stay tuned for the continuing series of real-time cinema verite, getting that trap apart.